Welcome to a brand new episode of Go. I'm your host, Dana Giesbrecht, and today we're at the Salvation Army's Community and Family Services Breakfast. For many people in the room, this is the only warm meal they'll receive all week. And on today's show, we're going to learn what it means to these people to know their community cares. Stay tuned for that. But first, we learn the story of a local woman and her own journey with homelessness and how she found her true talent. Welcome to a brand new episode of Go. I'm your host, Dana Giesbrecht, and today we're at the Salvation Army's Community and Family Services Breakfast. For many people in the room, this is the only warm meal they'll receive all week. And on today's show, we're going to learn what it means to these people to know their community cares. Stay tuned for that. But first, we learn the story of a local woman and her own journey with homelessness and how she found her true talent. From one story of inspiration to another, we learn how a local Edmonton police officer turned her biggest fears into her biggest strength. Stay tuned. After the break, we're going to find out what it means to the people in this room that their community cares enough to serve them a warm breakfast. We're also going to meet Candy and learn her story of homelessness and hunger. Stay tuned. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in now, we're at the Salvation Army's Community and Family Services Breakfast. For many people in the room, this is the only warm meal they'll receive all week. And coming up in the show, we'll be speaking with Captain Pam Goodyear with the Salvation Army, as well as a woman named Candy, and learn her story of hunger and homelessness. She's been living on the streets since September. But first, it's a harsh reality that for many homeless people in this city, they'll have to spend the night under a heat vent to stay warm. However, there's a plan to help change that. Here's Shaw TV's Bianca Jade. And now in sports, training season is underway for the Edmonton Rush. And after setting league records in 2014, Shaw TV's Dave Dawson learns what the goal for next season is. Take a look. Thanks for that, Dave. Well, I know I said we will be speaking with Captain Pam Goodyear, but we've switched that up a little bit. I am now joined by Major Ron Cartmel with the Salvation Army. Let's talk a little bit about who we're serving breakfast to today.
This is our Friday morning breakfast program, and the people that eat here on this Friday morning are many of the same people that come every Friday and eat here. Some of them are on their way to work, and this might be one of the days of the week that they actually have a warm breakfast, and that makes them more productive in their job. Others, we had a family in this morning that I talked to that got burned out on the weekend. And so they're putting their life back together. And after breakfast, they're meeting with some of the staff and volunteers here, trying now to get furniture, and they'll leave here with a food hamper and those types of things to try and get a sense of what tomorrow will look like.
Yeah. And some people are coming from even harsher situations.
Yeah, and as much as there's a good economy in Edmonton, and lots of people have really good jobs. When there's wealth, there's also extreme poverty. And so some of the people that ate here this morning actually chose to live outside. And even though there's shelters available, shelters have rules. And many of the people that will come to a breakfast like this, there might be a mental illness. There might be some challenges that, being in a shelter isn't their idea of a good time.
What kind of impact does something as simple as a warm breakfast have on the people in the room?
I think one of the big things is it just says somebody cares for me. If people are willing to come early in the morning and make breakfast and cook the eggs and make the coffee and just offer it with no strings attached, that means somebody cares about me. And I think one of the things that I enjoy the most is that as our staff and as our volunteers get to know the people and they get to know them by name, the folks open up and start to tell their story and say, this is what I'm struggling with, or can you help me with this, or I want to tell you what happened. The way you helped me last week, I now have work. And those are all very satisfying comments that come out of every Friday morning.
Just developing those relationships.
Sure it is. It's about being community, because everybody wants to belong. Everybody wants to be connected. And if they can come in here and people are able to call them by name, boy, that makes a big difference, as opposed to, hey, you, how are you doing? Or get over there. This is in essence family for many of these people.
Wonderful. Welcome back. This is Harvey just finishing up his breakfast. If you're just tuning in now, we're at the Salvation Army's Community and Family Services breakfast today. And I've been saying it throughout the show, but once again, this might be the only warm breakfast that many people in the room will receive today. And coming up, we're going to be speaking with Candy. She's been living on the streets since September, and often, many days, she says that she goes hungry. And she also is going to describe what it feels like to see someone walking by who has food and to desperately want that food. Stay tuned to meet Candy. But first, Shot TV's Tim Dancy learns why brass and woodwinds are rare in big bands today and how MacEwan University is looking to change that. And now we find out why a local theater has brought back one of its most pivotal characters from almost 20 years ago. Here's Shot TV's Jen McDonald. I apologize about the noise in the back, but we are now joined by one of our guests at the breakfast this morning. This is Candy Dave. Candy, when was the last time you received a warm meal like you did this morning?
3 days ago.
And where were you 3 days ago?
I was at the Hope Mission.
What kinds of things have happened in your life that you find yourself now needing as
Alcoholic and homeless.
How long have you been homeless?
Just only since September.
Since September.
Yeah.
What happened?
I got an eviction notice. And I only had 14 days, but only just one vehicle and just the two of us moving all this stuff. So I basically only just got a little bit of the things out, but I got a place again next week anyway, so.
So you're back in a home. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, for sure.
The time you have spent on the street, how has that been for you?
Actually, it sucks because you got to sit there at a shelter and then you got to put up with like people fighting and get in the back of the line, and it's just stupid things like that. Like, it's just all just crazy.
And I can imagine going hungry is extremely difficult.
Oh yeah, it is, because it's hard to watch somebody else eat in front of you, especially when you haven't eaten. Like sometimes I go without for at least days, like a couple days. But because I'm an alcoholic, that's what kind of works with me a little bit. I shouldn't do that though. It's not good.
When you look around the room and you see all these people that care, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel awesome. I'm appreciative.
Thanks so much for your time.
Good, thank you.
Before we go, here's your on-the-go calendar. And that's the show. If you want to learn more about how you can help Edmonton's homeless and give back to your community, head to salvationarmy.ca. I've been your host, Amy Giesbrecht. We'll see you next time.